in our captivity, we have to look back and see certain things, because we really have had no real true guidance other than the Word to bring us to the forefront where we line up with the Most High, and we can do things with an expectation. Everybody with me so far? That you can do things with an expectation. Because guess what? If you're not lined up, no sense in expecting anything. You can expect something, but I don't know if it's going to be good. Right? But let's get into the lesson, right? I found this lesson to be, I was thinking about a few things. The last moment I had some other thoughts. And then about 24 hours to the Sabbath, it came to me that I want to do, well, I thought within my own heart, after that came to me, in mind, that we would do Job. We're going to touch on Job a little bit. You know, a lot of people think that, what is it that anybody knew about Job? Anybody can tell me anything you know about Job? Nobody knows nothing about Job? Job Job was what?
Very strong in his faith.
All right, I like that. And we're going to keep it just like that. Don't add nothing to that, don't take nothing away from it. What you had there, brother? What you know about Job? He was righteous. He was righteous. Hold on to that right there. I want you to hold that too. Don't forget you said that, either one of y'all. Yes, ma'am.
He suffered.
Yeah, he did. He did so. He did so. Anybody else? We're going right down that path in the right direction. So, why don't we go here?
Question 9. Question most high.
He did. He did. He did. He did. He did. But most of all, when we first think about Job, we think about this really righteous man from Oz. Right? Is that us? Easy? Us? Right? He was this real righteous guy. And you think about it in the common day churches, before we got an understanding of the Word and to really go through and read the Word and dissect the Word, we were going by what other people was teaching us within the Word. We just sit there and listen before them. A lot of us didn't follow them in the Bible, so we didn't catch it when they went in the wrong direction. Everybody with me so far? Mm-hmm. But now that we read and we go back and process things, we find out new things about this Word that's very inspiring to us, because now we know that those things can possibly bring us closer to the Father and to our Redeemer. Right? Let's touch something real quick. Let's find out one. We're gonna try to find out a little things about Job as we can. No, I ain't gonna say that we can. I'm gonna say at one time. We're gonna do them at one time, and we're gonna deal with this for a second. First of all, let me get Job 30, 27. 30 and 27. So, wow, he started way back there. But guess what? I started from the beginning to the last moment. I wanted to put this in place. But I want you to get an understanding of this, right? This is the first thing we really want you to know about Job. You got it, my brother? All right, let's go with it.
The book of Job, chapter 30, verse 27.
Job 30, verse 27. We're going to go down to 29 and read, my brother. I'm sorry, 31. Hold on, we're going to go down to 27 to 31. Give me a hot second so I can get with you. All right, 31. 1. Okay, my brother.
The book of Job, chapter 30, verse 27.
Yes, sir.
My bowels boil.
He said Job was saying that his bowels boil. That means something's going on the inside of Job, right? Read, my brother.
And rested not.
And they don't rest. What?
The days of affliction prevented me.
Guess what? Every day can be a day of affliction if you're not lined up. Every day. Listen, even when you don't even see it, it's there. But we have to line up in order to remove the affliction. Read, my brother.
Verse 28. I went mourning without the sun.
He went mourning, not mourning like I wake up, good morning. No, he meant mourning. He meant suffering without the sun. I mean, even over the night he suffered. What?
I stood up and I cried in the congregation.
You see, you know how I'm going to tell you, I mean, in this day and time, people in church, man, they're going through something. I'm talking about the common day church. I'm not talking about us right now. Right? Let me say this, and I'm going to bring it back around, okay? But they're inside the common day church. And what happens is that a lot of the times, those guys are set before them that quote unquote are supposed to be teaching them, a quote unquote, what they really like to do is they like to bring out scripture that touches the heart. And that scripture that touches the heart put people in a certain position where it makes them feel like that they are really dealing with something right there and right at that time inside that same particular setting that they placed them in, that the environment of the setting. So inside the environment of the setting is morning set. Preachers nowadays set that up so that you can feel a certain way, and then at the end, if you feel real good at the end of service because you have basically repented in your heart, then you give more. That's how they get their money a lot of times. But this brother is saying, we're going to go back and look. We're going to say, Brother Job, it said that he was mourning without the son. And he stood up and he cried in the congregation. He cried before men. He cried before his brethren and his sisters. And what?
I am a brother to dragons.
You hear that?
And a companion to owls.
And read, my brother.
My skin is black.
I want you to know that Moses was a black man. I want you to understand that.
And my bones are burned with heat.
And he said once again at the beginning of 30, what did he say, brother?
My skin is black upon me.
Upon me. And what?
And my bones are burned with heat.
And read.
My heart also is turned to mourning. And my organ into the voice of them that weep.
And all his rejoicing that he used to rejoice before the Lord. All that rejoicing that he was doing at that time, he ceased when trouble came down through there. Your brother Job began to stop praising. Y'all don't see that, do you? But we're going to go back and find that because it's in there. Yeah, we say Job was a just man, but Job turned his heart for a second. Give me Job 1 and 1 through 5. Job 1, we're going to pause at that 1 and we're going to go on down 2 through 5.
Job 1. 1 through 5.
But I want you to understand that Job, that Job wept. And Job did, he wept, but his organs, and he don't mean his inside organ. That's an organ, piano organ. And the harp is the harp that they play that creates music. When it comes down to really rejoicing in the Lord, you know, they say David danced and played the harp. But let's keep going, my brother.
Job 1, 1 through 5. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job.
Yes, it was him.
And that man was perfect and upright.
That black man was perfect and right and upright.
And one that feared Elohim.
He had fear.
And eschewed evil.
He hated evil. Didn't like evil whatsoever. That should give you a vision of Job. What kind of vision did that give you of Job? That gives you a vision. Do you think that Job knew that he was, quote unquote, a upright man in his own heart? Do we think that? We can all answer we want. We know to know. Yes. All right. We ain't nobody cry today. All right. So listen. It says that, and he was an upright man and perfect. No, so he was perfect and upright, and one that feared the Most High, and he eschewed evil. Give me that second verse.
Verse 2. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters.
He was born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. Nowadays we have kids, we be praying, give me a son. We don't know what we're going to get. But most men want to have a son first, and most women want to have a son first, that their son can be a protector of his siblings as they grow. But come on, my brother.
His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, in a very great household.
A very great household. Keep moving, my brother.
So that this man was the greatest of all of them in the east, of all the men of the east.
But when they say he was the greatest, what that mean?
He was up there in rank. He was like well known for his substance.
So he was the wealthiest man. He wasn't so great that he walked on water. He was the wealthiest man. Where you at, brother?
Verse 4.
And read.
And his sons went and feasted in their houses.
Where you at? Back up a little bit.
Verse 4.
Okay, and his sons, I got you. Go
And
ahead.
his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them.
So his sons feasted. What is a feast? Huh?
They ate.
Hard.
Say it again, brother.
Hard.
They did a lot of celebrating, partying and going on. Everyone his day. So on their birthdays, they would always party on their birthdays. I knew a fellow that would start celebrating his birthday a month before he got there and a month after. He was that much into his own birthday. Isn't that something? And that's a true story. And finish reading where we at?
Verse 5. On 4 it says everyone his day.
Yes. Everyone his day. That's right. His day is his birthday. So everyone his day. Right? Am I correct? Drop on down to 5 and go.
Verse 5. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all.
So you know what's going on, right? Moses knew that they shouldn't have been doing that. So Moses continued to pray for them as they did those things they were doing. How would you say it? Glorifying themselves. Huh? No, not. I said Job. You said no, I said most.
Oh.
Most of the children, when they was glorifying themselves, and it was on their birthday. You have to think about it. What they're doing if they celebrate their birthdays like that in such a party, and this is a thing they do all the time, and each one of them did it. They all had a see. Cause think about it. Their father was the richest man in the area. If he's the richest man in the area, he take care of his kids well. His kids gonna be very high profile people. When we begin to feel like we're high profile, most I come through and bless us. We think that we're high profile. We get something that somebody else don't have. Or are we carrying around? Are we appearing before man and we're getting a reverence from man, and this man don't even have to be a godly man. And the reverence is a lot of times what happens in our mind is we get bigger than ourselves. Those kids were bigger than themselves. It was all about them. It was all about what they wanted to do for them. But what had to happen? Job had to pray for those boys and pray for those daughters. So that shows us a responsibility as a quote-unquote righteous or upright person. We should pray for our children. They're not always going to get it right. But if they don't get it right, where's our responsibility in that act? I mean, I don't want to say it, but where's it at? Where's our responsibility? Do anybody know? Yeah, but individually, what is our individual responsibility to our children? I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Train them up in the way we should go.
Right. But that is physically, morally, and spiritually. If we're lacking in any of those areas, that's on us. But we still, in the process of doing those things, when I say spiritually, we still got to pray for them. We still got to pray for them. Right? But Job had identified that those things was going on with his children, and he prayed for them. And we stopped. Go back and read 5. Start somewhere around the area I just said early in the morning. And he rose up early in the morning
and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all.
One for each child, and what?
For Jacob said,
Job said what?
It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed Elohim in their hearts. Thus did Job continue.
Because Job couldn't tell if that's what they were doing that. Job couldn't just pinpoint and say, You done cursed you done cursed the Father. But he said, it may be, just in case. Let me put some insurance on this thing. And drop down to that 6th verse.
Verse 6.
Now,
Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahuwah. And Satan came also among them.
Isn't that something? Let's look at the reality of that. I want everybody to actually consider that. Actually consider that. Wait a minute, let me back up. Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim, that he came, they presented themselves before him. What day do we present ourselves before the Most High? On the Sabbath, right? Sometimes Satan can get him before you can get him. Wait for you to come. You see what I mean? Because he got a job to do. He gonna be there, just like when you gotta show up on your job and you gotta be there by 6. Sometimes we show up around 5:59. But in the 6th verse it says what? You did read that, right? Give me that 7th verse.
And Yahuwah said unto Satan, From whence come you?
Where'd you come from?
Then Satan answered Yahuwah and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Say that first one again.
From going to and fro in the earth.
Did he say on the earth?
No, he said in it. And he reiterated, he said walking up and down in it.
So that tells me 2 things. 2 things that tell me. First thing it tells me is that earth is a dome. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
It's flat. It's a dome. And the second thing is that Satan is going to and fro and up and down inside of it. And this is on a constant basis. Drop down to that 8th verse and go.
And Yahuwah said unto Satan, Have you considered my servant Job? That there is none like him in the earth. A perfect and upright man.
What?
A perfect and upright man.
Go.
One that fears Elohim and eschews evil.
Read.
Then Satan answered Yahuwah and said,
What did he say?
Does Job fear Elohim for naught?
I mean, do he fear you for nothing? But check out what he gonna do. He gonna make it look like that our Elohim is, I just say, bribing Job to do right. Continue to read.
Have not you made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side?
Because clearly his kids wasn't in place. Clearly, on a human form, everybody that was around Job wasn't at Job's level at that time, clearly. But Satan is saying that you are blessing, even you blessing those ones around you, you blessing him, his seed, and everything about him. He's the most wealthiest man in this area. He's not just doing it for nothing. He's doing it because you're doing these things for him. There's no love in Job. Because if Satan could get his hands on the children before the Most High said, go ahead, before he removed the hedge, because when he put the hedge around Job, he put the hedge around his children also. You see that? Because when he told him, he told us, let's read this real quick, then I come on with that. Bring it where you at, hit 10 again.
Have you not made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side? Have you blessed the work of his hand? No, I'm sorry. You have blessed the work of his hand. And his substance is increased in the land.
So, if all this is going on, then why did the Most High offer Job up to Satan? Let's hit that 11th verse.
Verse 11. But put forth your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face.
But the Most High put Job up there. Job was, he was holding on. But he said, if you curse him, right, that he would, if you touch all that he had, that Job would curse you right in his face. And read.
Verse 12. And Yahuwah said unto Satan,
What do you say?
Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only upon himself put not forth your hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of Yahuwah.
So, if you told him, he said, all he has is upon your hand, why was it the first thing he hit was the children? Y'all got to speak loud.
They weren't in order anyway, so they already was putting themselves above anything anyway, so they had to go.
Well, no, they could have been in order. They could have been in order because they had not been touched. Until our Elohim told Satan you can touch all that he had.
But don't touch him.
That means that they were covered by him. One. Two, they belong to him. I'm just saying, this being Job. You see what I'm saying? So now we're saying that when he said, okay, go ahead, the first thing he touched was those children, something that was dear to Job, because Job prayed for those children at all times. But it was those things that belonged to Job is that what he touched. Because if he had just meant only Job, then them children would have never died. The cattle would have never died. None of that stuff would have took place if it was just Job he was dealing with. He was dealing with Job and everything that came with it. Because everything that came with Job was covered by Job. And it said that Satan went presence. So Satan went forth and from the presence of our Most High. But look, so Job had to have. I want to give you this, but I want to give it to you the right way. Give me Job 32. Job 32 and 1. We got to understand something real quick, right? That even when you're going through, even after the adversary have plugged in and has begun to pursue you, you still have to do what? You got to stay steadfast. You got to stay unmovable. You still got to stay lined up with the Most. You still got to have that love for the Most High. And the last thing we would ever do is what? Question our Elohim. We're going to find out that's not a good thing. Some of us question them today. Some of us questioned them yesterday. But give me Job 32 and 1.
Book of Job, chapter 32, verse 1.
Now he's telling us some men that Job had came in contact with.
So these three men ceased to answer Job.
And they just stopped. They stopped even answering him. If they were talking with him, they stopped even answering, stopped even communicating with Job. Because during the conversation of the communication, Job appeared to be something. And what?
Because he was righteous in his own eyes.
Because Job was righteous in his own eyes. He was righteous in his own eyes. How would you say that? Keep going. I'm tired in that. Keep going.
Verse 2. Then was kindled the wrath of Eliyahu, the son of Barakcha, the Guzite, of the kindred of Ren. Against Job was his wrath kindled because he justified himself rather than Elohim.
Y'all see that? He justified himself. He lived under the understanding of his own righteousness and not the righteousness of who? Of the Elohim, because you gotta do it his way, not your way. And even if he blessed you to the point that you are the greatest man on the most richest man on the earth, never, ever question him. Because it's by him that you receive God. And even then, your ways is not as high as his ways. His ways are way higher than your ways. But never get to the point. I think that was Apostle Paul. I want to bring him into the picture because he comes into the picture a lot. But we want to come from another direction here because there is something that took place when he knew he was righteous. And I mean righteous in his own. he was self-filled to believe that I am the most righteous man. Look down upon me. I am the most righteous. Right? Isn't that a sense of pride? Got a precept? Give it to me, brother.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 9.
Yes, sir.
For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
So his thoughts would be unrighteous. His thought, Job's thoughts dropped below righteousness. Have you ever heard somebody so kingdom bound that there's no earthly good? You can be so kingdom bound, you can think that he gave you a little understanding. He gave you a little way that you can kind of like walk in your life and have a decent life, and he bless you in your walk, and you get to a point where you begin to believe that you have arrived and you can't fall. You got a precept?
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 16. Be not righteous over much. Be not righteous over much.
Do you see that?
Neither.
Because I'm sorry, hold it though. But think about it now. We as Hebrews, when we first start getting this word, we first start getting this understanding, and we know that we know what we know, right? Sometimes we stop to grow. Because we have now begun to get a prideful look at ourselves through righteousness. You got to be able, this thing that he's given us, the choosing of the results of being chosen by him to be a people, a peculiar people unto himself, can blow your mind up. It can. It can make you feel like you're the greatest thing since orange crust soda and moon pie. But you're not that. You got to stay humble in this walk. You really do. Right? Go ahead and finish what you're going there, bro.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 16.
7 verse 16.
Be not righteous over much. Be not righteous over much.
And keep going.
Neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself?
Did he not say over wise? Was that W-I-S-E?
Right.
So wise, you ain't no good to yourself. That you begin to cast out your own judgments. You begin to justify yourself other than your Redeemer. Just like in Christianity, you got brothers doing the same thing. Christianity, they get to be an elder's wife. They got to walk around with the biggest hat on and the biggest cross on their neck that they can find. They got to find a nice suit. They got to have a big car, and they got to everything. Praise God. Like you know better than the Pope. And then we begin to be Israelites, and then our voice get a little bit heavy, and we go hard because we have found out who we are. But it don't matter who you are, you ain't got it right. Then we get hard. We cussing out people. We drinking like a fish. Whoever brought that up? Well, Jesus drank too, but he made wine. He didn't make it every day. Huh? Did he? Did anybody in the book where he said every day Jesus made a gallon of wine and sat up under the tree and cast judgment upon people? That wasn't heard that way. So when we begin to do different things, now hear what I'm saying. Not just that, but that's something. When we begin to cast judgment from our own righteousness, we justify what we're doing to be right and then deem ourselves to be righteous. We do it. Scripture said when there was no king in Israel. Can you find that one woman? What did the man do? What did man do when there was no king in Israel? Every man lived a certain way. Got it, bro? Come on.
The book of Judges, chapter 17, verse 6.
Yes, sir.
In those days there was no king in Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes.
Every man became self-righteous. It wasn't a good thing because we continue reading and we'll find out what happened when we were doing that. Somebody come to you with the truth in scripture, give it to you, and you continue to do what you want to do it. That means you're not tied in. You're not locked in yet. You might think you are in your own mind. You might be the most righteous person in Suitland. In your mind. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, listen to me. Y'all hear where we coming from? Just think about it. Let's go. We're going to ride this thing out. We did finish. Did we hit? Yeah. Did we finish 32-1?
Yes.
You went down to 3?
Stop that too.
Give me 3.
The book of Job, chapter 32, verse 3.
Listen to this.
Also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet he condemned Job. Yet had condemned Job.
Because Job, as Job presented himself, he presented himself as self-righteous. Job 1:14.
Job 1, verse 14.
Yes, sir.
And there came a messenger to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them. And the
Sabaeans,
fell upon them and took them away.
that's the people. Keep going.
Yeah, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only escaped alone to tell you. 16. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of Elohim is fallen from heaven, and has burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I have only escaped alone to tell you.
So now, Job's children, Job's oxen, Job's sheep, and Job's servants are affected. Keep going. Job's stuff. Keep going. But all these things we see is a part of Job, and was protected under the righteousness of Job. But now let's say this to you. In us, Job was the most righteous man in us. So the most righteous man is not totally righteous. Can you see that? Do you see that? When you think you are so totally righteous in everything you do, everything you see, and don't question anything about me, there's a problem. And definitely when you begin to act that way, when you begin to present yourself that way. But let me tell you, every decision you make, whether the decision is from you, or is for you, or whether that decision is for somebody else, that you take them out the realm of the covenant of the Most High and His Sabbaths and His high holy days and the covenant, you're going to pay for that some kind of way. And it's going to happen right in the present. You're going to see it happen, and there's going to be nothing you can do to change it. Nothing. Because what He does is, He don't just protect. When He come at you, He come at you and everything you got. You can say, hey, my house paid for it. My car's paid for it. Burn it up. Poof. Now what you got? All you got to do is just say it and it's done. So we have to take low sometimes. And don't turn small things into mountains and molehills and galaxies and all that crazy stuff. Where you at, brother?
Verse 17.
And read.
While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Kisleans,
Chaldeans.
the Chaldeans, I'm going to read up to 6 made out 3 bands and fell upon the camp and have carried them away. Yeah, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. and I only ever escaped alone to tell you.
So when they took the camel, they took the car. Y'all do know that, right? That was their mode of transportation. They rode camel. Listen, am I right or wrong? Y'all listen to what I'm saying here. We got to bring this thing up to date a little bit. You understand what I'm at here, right? The sheep is part of the food. The wool, the clothing. The oxen, well, the oxen is definitely the meat. They use their asses to carry stuff and to work with and to keep the fields plowed and to bring food in and all that different stuff. So now they took away the job. Everything you have you could possibly work with. But let me tell you, when you're going through, you got to stay focused going through. You can't go through and lose focus. Read, brother.
Verse 18.
Yes, sir.
While he was yet speaking,
Once again, listen to that.
there came also another and
It
said,
just won't stop. It's not going to go away. Keep going, brother.
there came also another and said,
Uh-huh.
your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's
What
house.
were they doing? Come on now.
And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness,
You
and
see?
smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped along to tell you.
Well, yeah, that's 19, right? Give me 20.
Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped.
Now remember, Job, I'm going to tell you like this. I'm not trying to paint a bad picture of Job. I'm trying to paint the picture of Job. And the picture of Job is this. If you go back, let me make sure I'm on right before I say this. If I'm right, Job was the most righteous man at that time. At that time is the part that really makes the case. Because if he was the highest stature and he was the most blessed guy the Most High put in place, and his head was big, Job began to, and now you got to think about it. It took a long time to accumulate all this stuff that the Most High blessed him with. He had all these sons and all these daughters. It took years to get this stuff. So he got comfortable in his blessings. It ain't like it happened, like the Most High just said poof and it was done, and then he just started living it. The Most High gradually carried him. He gradually let him grow into wealth. He gradually blessed him as he go on and on and on. That's why Satan said, you got a hedge around him. I can't even get to him. I can't even get there. But we got to remember that Job had became self-righteous. And the 21st verse it says what?
Verse 21.
Uh-huh.
And it said, the naked came out of my mother's womb.
Uh-huh. This is after all this stuff happened, read.
And naked shall I return thither.
Uh-huh.
Yahuwah gave, and Yahuwah has taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah.
Still blessed it then. Keep going.
In all this Job said not, nor charged Elohim foolishly.
See, at that time, that was at that time. At that time of what he was going through, that was the demeanor and the set of Job. That's what Job's heart was at that time. Right? He never considered that he could possibly get out of line. Isaiah 64:6. Give me that 6 and that 7 verse. me that 6 and 7 verse. Give me Ephesians 2, 5.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 64, verse 6 through 7.
Joe forgot this. Read, brother.
Isaiah 64, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
But we are all as an unclean thing.
Everybody but Joe.
We are all as an unclean thing.
Keep reading.
And all our righteousnesses are as filthy rags.
No matter how righteous you be, you're going to be as a filthy rag when it comes down to the Most High. Where we at? Say it, repeat it again.
Isaiah 64, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
But we are all as an unclean thing.
Uh-huh.
And all our righteousnesses are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf.
Uh-huh.
And our iniquities, like the wind, have taken us away.
Read.
And there is none that calleth upon thy name, that stirreth up himself to take hold of thee. For thou hast hid thy face from us, and hast consumed us because of our iniquities.
It's there. No matter how righteous you are, you will never, ever, 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 ever be as equal to our Hamashiach. Ephesians 2, you got 2 and 5 ready?
Ephesians 2, verse 5.
Job 36 and 12.
Even when we were dead in sins, that's quickened us together with Hamashiach. By grace you are saved. Keep on. Verse 6. And has raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Yeshua HaMashiach.
So wait a minute now. So by the grace that Hamashiach gave, we don't have to do righteousness? Is that what he's saying? Huh? Okay, well, by the grace that he has stored upon us, we don't have to keep the law. By the grace that has been placed upon us, by the Sabbath being a law, do we have to keep the law? Loud. Keep it loud. Okay. So now, wait a minute. Isaiah 64, verse 6 says, well, we are what? We are all. He didn't say everybody but Job. He didn't say everybody but Lord. In fact, he didn't say everybody but Lord's children. He said we all. And when we fall away, whatever you get, don't blame it on somebody else. Because you know where you're supposed to be at. You know what you're supposed to be doing. But you're not there, you're not doing. Whatever happened to you is only, don't blame me for what happened to you if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Don't blame nobody. I don't care if you're a horse, dog, kid, rat, hat, whatever it is that falls under the laws of the Most High. If you don't keep the law that He's governed around you, anything you get is your responsibility. That's yours. Don't be mad at me. I told you. When you take your life into, every man lived in according to what? You just read it. In according to his own righteousness. When we set our life, especially when we know the truth and we do things against what we know, that means that when you do it against what you know that is true, that means that what? Now you are setting your own standard of righteousness. Whether it's being clean, whether it's keeping the Sabbath, Friday is a preparation day. Not Friday night. Friday is a preparation day. We shouldn't go into the Sabbath preparing. We should be prepared before the Sabbath. That's right. Now they tell me that day is day and night is night. according to Genesis when he first formed everything. So you tell me from sunset to sunset is a Sabbath. Don't go into the Sabbath. Because now you're violating Sabbath. Oh yeah, I made it there that day. I was there that day. I worshiped that day. I went through the word that day. I did. But before you did all that, you violated it. You messed up before you even get in there. Let's make sure we do things in decency and in order. Right? Because Isaiah 6:6 said, but we are all an unclean thing, and all our righteous are as what? Filthy rags. So that means that you got to do the best you can. So now wait a minute. I told this scripture out there before, in the times I've been before you. I want to throw it out there again. Maybe we should read it. That way I won't be throwing it out there. But the righteous be scarcely saved. Guess what? This includes me. This includes. Have anybody ever read anything or did a lesson or anything like that? Have you ever did it and compared it to you where you would line up with it? Huh? Because you got to be the first partaker. Fine. You pull it up for you real quick. Let's talk about, okay, put this in. Where were the sinner and ungodly? First Peter 4:18. 1 Peter 4:18. Got it? Is that it? Okay. Yeah.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17 through 18.
Please try to take at heart. Don't just hear it and walk away from it and never revisit this again. When you hear this, apply it to yourself. Apply it to yourself and apply it to yourself wholeheartedly. Don't just hear it and then, keep going through the videos or just keep going on with your life the way it is. And just look at it and give it and see it and read it with a glance and blow. Consider exactly what this is saying. Go ahead, my brother.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17 through 18. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Elohim.
That's the word. That's not the men. That's the word. Read.
And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Elohim?
Because he lives through his word. How do y'all think we get our relationship built between us and him? Because he lives within his word. That's his house. The house is his word. It's not a building. Read, brother.
And if the righteous scarcely be saved.
So now the righteous people, the one that was like Job, the most righteous people that could possibly be, if they scarcely get in, or they are scarcely saved, because even through all our best righteousness, we are like filthy rags. If the righteous scarcely be saved, that tell you right there that there's nobody on earth that's going to be perfectly righteous, because they're going to barely get in. What?
And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear?
Well, we know who the sinner is. Anybody don't know who the sinner is? Everybody know who the sinner is, right? We just identified the righteous. But now we know who the sinner is. And then he mentioned another set of people. What was that set of people he named? The ungodly. So then who is the ungodly? If the righteous, we know who they are, and we know who the sinner is, who is that ungodly of a people? It's those people that know the truth, they know his word, they don't abide by it. Oh no, hypocrites. They'll show you a flag, they'll say I'm like this, I do it like that, but when the time comes to put it down, they can't do it. They can't keep it. When the time comes to govern, they can't govern by the word. When the time comes to question, they can't question by the word. They cannot line up by the word and won't allow anybody else to line up by the word because you haven't lined up. How can you hold somebody else's foot to the fire? Because at all times we're going to be willing to give somebody an escape route. Got a precept.
The book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 47.
Luke 12, 37?
Verse 47.
47.
And that servant which knew his Lord's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not, and did commit things worthy of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. And unto whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more.
But unto him that what he given much, say that?
For unto whosoever much is given,
unto whosoever much understanding of his word has been given. You have the understanding of his word. You have the understanding of your place in life. You have an understanding of those things you're supposed to do. Those, what?
of him shall be much required.
There's much required. Because when you learn better, you got to do better. When you learn better, you continue to do what you're doing on the sake of I'm mad, on the sake of I'm pissed off, on the sake of I don't like you, under the sake of you did this to me, under the sake you did that to me. We have to begin to take ownership of what we do ourselves. What did I do to cause you to do what you done? What did I do to cause you to feel the way you feel about me? What is my role in this? Am I a victim or just crime victim? Am I really a victim? Or am I a foolish man that's not heeding to the righteousness of the Most High? Because even if you do that, you're going to scarcely get in. Did we finish Ephesians? No. Did we finish Ephesians 2 and 10? No, back up to 8 and come back down. 2 and 8.
Ephesians 2 and 8.
Yes, sir.
For by grace are we saved through belief. And that not of yourself. It is the gift of Yah.
Go ahead.
Not of works, lest any man should boast.
He began to boast. That's what Job began to do, because Job knew that he was going to be the most righteous guy there. He'd been blessed. There was no man blessed like him. So Moses had not blessed anybody in that capacity. He had blessed him in. So he knew that he was receiving the most favor from the Most High because of the blessing the Most High placed around him. And read, brother.
Verse 10. For we are his workmanship.
And what?
Created in Yeshua HaMashiach.
Unto good works.
Unto good works which Yahuwah has before ordained that we should walk in them.
That we should do what?
Walk in them.
In what? In good works. Am I correct?
Right.
But what is good works? Good works is within his righteousness. Why, my God, glad you asked. How did you get to the righteousness part? Because there is a word, there is a law, and there is a covenant that has been set before us that if we deviate from it, we have deviated from what? Righteousness. And we can make up excuses all day, every day, day in, day out, even in our sleep. We can dream about an excuse. But that don't make us right. It don't. that don't make you right. If you can't feel, you can't begin to feel what another person is going through. If you are at odds with that person, you can't begin to feel how that person feels until you remove yourself and consider your brother or your sister. And consider why they feel the way they feel. What is it that I've done that caused you to say, do, or act any kind of way against me or about me? And when you can take ownership on that, and you can move forward with that, you begin to grow. But every time you throw yourself out there, before your fellow man, before your husband, before your wife, you just took a step back because you can never understand. And you've never taken ownership on what you've done. Job 36, verse 12. But there's a thing that happened to these kind of people. But I want to say this too, right? One of the other things that Job did, right, through Job's self-righteousness. One of the other things he did, you know how people try to be real slick? They try to be real smart. And they'll say things to make you feel bad about you. Make you feel like they want to make you convicted. They will convict you. If you watch how Job talked to the Most High, he tried to turn everything back to the Most High. Why are you doing this to me? Are you righteously treating me this way? Read this. Read Job 36 and 12. And run on down through there. Start at 11.
The book of Job, chapter 36, verse 11.
Yes, sir.
If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure.
So there was something that Job didn't do right. Even though the Most High has set him up, not set him up, but offered him to say to do these things, Job still was supposed to keep going.
But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge.
Without knowledge, read.
But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them.
When he bindeth them. When the Most High, the Ruach, come and put you in a position where you gotta stand up and own up and be a man or be a woman and take things like this and not point your finger at somebody and you pissed off. Don't backbite. Don't go against it. The worst thing to have is a bomb sitting in your own house. And you ain't even know it's there. Not to mention, if you don't know the ways. Now Satan's going to and fro, up and down inside this present world. If you can't recognize when he's coming in, how can you defeat him? How can you sustain yourself? How can you pull yourself away from the ways of him? You can't identify when he's showing up. You're supposed to be seeing him from afar off. If you know.
Every time he shows up appealing. He shows up and, he manifests the way he is. That's something that you desire, something that you want, or something that, or a stature that you have to upkeep. He doesn't come in just, he'll come in and tell you the truth about it. That's the one. But when he comes, he's going to come in and he just don't let it be known. Like, I know you know some folks you done this way, and things will be done in a certain order.
Not certain order. In decency and in order.
Right.
Ain't no certain in here.
And when he comes and he bends that to where it's not in decency and in order. It's by what the person or a person is manifesting to do according to their own heart.
Well, I can tell you this right here. My ways, my my judgments, my standard is lower than the standards of the Most High. They're lower than the ways of the Most High. What I consider a standard and is okay is really, it may not be okay to him. If in his word it's okay, then it's okay. But in his word, if it's not lined up with his word, no matter how I feel, based on love, based on hate, or based on anything, no matter how I feel, don't mean nothing to line up to the righteousness of the Most High. It don't mean nothing how I feel. How I feel will get me in that pit and make me burn. How I feel can ruin my life. How I feel can make me have to start over life every time, every month. Because I keep jumping out there. But I expect something different once I jump out there. I still expect something different to befall me. Give me that scripture, brother. James, drawn by your own person. He can't pull you away if you don't let him. He's going to appeal, like the brother said, he's going to appeal to you in something that you like. And it's going to pull you right away from the Most High. While we're there, give me James 1. Give me James 1 and 19 first. Yeah. Yeah. I do want to hold on there. You got it? You ain't got it? Drop one down to 19 and come back.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear.
Say what?
Let every man be swift to hear.
Does that mean you supposed to over-talk me if I'm saying something? Because if I'm swift to hear, I want to hear what you're saying so I can respond, what? According to what you're saying. If you're not listening to what I say, and you just running your mouth, you ain't going to never hear what I got to say to you. If you really consider and you really care about the situation that you're mad about, then you should listen and hear what I got to say about it. This is where I am with it. And even if you step back and you listen to what they say sometimes, people, you listen to what they say, but then you get ready to talk, they overshadow you again. They ain't gonna never let you get it out. But it says what it says, wherefore my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear. And what?
Slow to speak.
Even consider what you're saying when you're saying it. It shouldn't come out as a black. Read.
Slow to wrath.
And slow to wrath. That's the big. Every time you can't have an intelligent conversation. You can't have an intelligent conversation with people without you going into a wrath. Then you got to relook at yourself. You're not as righteous as you think you are. Because everything done, everything we do is Hebrew. I mean, all Hebrew. Everything we do it in the name of righteousness. We think that we know something that we out there. I'm going to find me a precept that I can do this. This precept backs me up. No. It said, anger but sin not. That's what the scripture say. Anger says anger but sin not. But sometimes, what you just read from in James?
James 1:19.
It said, the 20 say, for the wrath of a man worketh not what? The righteousness of our Elohim. So just because you're mad don't mean you bring on wrath. Did we get into Job 36 yet? No. Give me Job 36 and 12. Who got that? JR got it. Oh, you got something? You got something else? Okay, right. Let's go. I'm sorry, let's back up. James what? 36 and what?
14.
36 and 14. Okay, keep going.
James, Job 36, verse 14.
Job 36, verse 14.
They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean.
When you sure that's it? Job 36 and 14. No. if he set his heart upon man, is that 14? Right. Uh-huh. Read. Yeah.
The book of Job 36, verse 13. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them.
And read.
They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean.
Read.
He delivered the poor in his affliction,
Uh-huh.
and openeth their ears in oppression.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place, where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on the table should be full of fatness.
Read.
Verse 17. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee, because there is wrath. Beware lest he take thee away with his stroke, then a great ransom cannot deliver thee.
Let me get 30 and 18. Job 30, verse 18.
30.
We know that Job's wife told him to curse God and die. His friends told him to turn his back.
Job 30, verse 18.
Uh-huh.
By the great force of my disease, in my garment change,
Uh-huh. He's trying to make the Most High feel guilty now. Go ahead.
it binds me about as the collar of my coat.
Uh-huh.
He has cast me into the mire,
Mm-hmm.
and I am become like dust and ashes.
Uh-huh.
I cry unto you, and you do not hear me.
You see that? Trying to make him. I did what I supposed to have done. I cried unto you. You didn't even answer me.
I stand up, and you regard me not. You are become cruel to me. With your strong hand you oppose yourself against me.
Uh-huh.
You lift me up to the wings. You cause me to ride upon it and dissolve my substance.
Uh-huh.
For I know that you will bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave.
Give us a number you reading that.
Oh, 24.
24 read.
Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave,
Uh-huh.
though they cry in his destruction.
25.
Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor?
Uh-huh.
26. When I looked for good, then evil came unto me.
Uh-huh.
And when I waited for light, there came darkness.
So Job trying to make it feel, I did all these things. I did all these things. But yet you won't even answer my prayer. He's trying to make the Most High feel guilty. Job 31:1. Job 31 verse 1. I had a charger that was sitting right there. Job 31 verse 1. Didn't put a plug in. Job 31 verse 1. I can charge it. Job 31 verse 1.
Book of Job, chapter 31, verse 1. I made a covenant with my eyes.
I did what?
I made a covenant with my eyes.
Uh-huh.
Why then should I think upon a maiden?
Uh-huh.
For what portion of Elohim is there from above?
Uh-huh.
And what inheritance of the Almighty from on high?
Uh-huh.
Is not destruction to the wicked?
There's not destruction. Do you hear that? So he's saying that he's righteous. He said, I'm righteous. It's not destruction for the witnesses and for the wicked. This is not even for me. You misjudging me. This is for the wicked. But the Most High can call on you when he get ready to call on you. Never question what he do.
That's right.
Never. Just because you're going through, you know you're going through because Job, it says in the word that Job was a righteous man, but when Job began to go through, as he began to go through, he started to question our Elohim. You see, he questioned him right there. He started to question him as he went through. You don't question God. Our Elohim, you don't question him. That's where he fell short. Where you at, brother?
Verse 3.
Read.
Is not destruction to the wicked,
Uh-huh.
and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity?
Shouldn't you be out there punishing somebody else other than me? Keep going.
Does not he see my ways and count all my steps?
You don't see the way I'm living? You see how I'm doing things? Why you bother me? Keep going.
If I have walked with vanity,
Uh-huh.
or if my foot hath hastened to deceit,
Uh-huh.
let me be weighed in an even balance,
Uh-huh.
that Elohim may know my integrity.
Read.
If my step hath turned out of the way, and my heart walked after my eyes,
Uh-huh.
and if any blot hath cleaved to my hand,
Uh-huh.
then let me sow, and let another eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let my offspring be rooted out.
So just think about it. He's saying that the thing that you took my oxen. That's what I sold with. You know what I mean? My goats, kids. You took all that stuff away from me. But you should not have taken these things from me because I'm righteous. If I did these things, then yeah, come on and get me. But he was righteous in his own eyes. Think about it. Give me that Job 38 real quick. Job 38. We're going to close this day. It's going to be a long day. We're going to get some words to go on. 38 verse 1.
Job 38, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Then Yahuwah answered Job.
No. See, Job went to him. Job went at him. And then he came right back. He gave him an answer. Here you go, bro.
Then Yahuwah answered Job out of the whirlwind, saying,
What did he say?
Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge?
He said, Job, you talk to me, man, with words without even knowledge. You ain't had this thing. And Job was probably the most righteous man out there. You talk to me without even knowledge. You ain't got knowledge enough to be talking to me like this. Keep going, bro.
Gird up now your loins like a man.
Get yourself together. Gird yourself up like a man.
For, for I will demand of you and answer me.
You see that? He said, and I will demand of thee. And he said, and answer thou me. Drop down that 40th verse. Chapter 40, verse 1. 40, verse 1. Job 40, verse 1.
Job 40, verse 1.
And go ahead.
Moreover, Yahuwah answered Job and said,
What did he say?
Shall he that contends with El Shaddai and instruct him, he that reproves Elohim, let him answer.
You see that? Job tried to reprove the Elohim. He was a just man until he started going through. And then we question our Elohim. We question, you know what I mean? If there's really a God up there, you know what I mean? If there's really an Elohim, if you really exist, why am I going to, why you, I keep your Sabbath, I do that, you know. Come on now. Where you at?
Verse 3.
And read.
Then Jacob answered Yahuwah and said,
Job answered
Yahuwah and said,
Uh-huh.
Behold, I am vile.
Job said he's what?
Vile.
And what?
What shall I answer you?
Uh-huh.
I will lay my hand upon my mouth.
Uh-huh.
Once have I spoken, but I will not answer.
You see that? After the Most High told you will answer me, Job, I'm not going to answer you. Keep going.
Yeah, twice. But I will proceed no further.
You hear Job? Can y'all see the kahunas on this guy? Yeah, kahunas. Where are these guys? Come on, I'm trying to be clean with this. Go ahead.
Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
Then answered Yahuwah unto Job out of the whirlwind and said,
Uh-huh.
Gird up your loins now like a man.
Again, he told him what?
I will demand of you
Mm-hmm.
and declare unto me.
Uh-huh.
Will you also disannul my judgment?
He said, are you questioning my judgment? Read.
Will you condemn me
You trying to condemn me?
that you may be righteous?
That to make you right in what you're saying or the way you're living? Because you deem that you are right and you are righteous, you gonna question my judgment? I'm the one who said there's no righteous man upon this earth. Drop down to 42 and give me that 7th verse. It ain't gonna take us long. We're gonna get down through here and we're gonna get this thing done. We gotta think about that. Now, and all this is coming out to say, even when you think you have righteous judgment, Seek the Most High before you jump in. Seek Him before you go out there and make yourself like a fool. Or you stand before people, or you stand before anyone, and ravel off things out your mouth that's not there. And in most cases, we say things that we don't even feel. We don't even feel this way. We say it through anger, so we're gonna say some harsh things, and it's gonna hurt somebody here, and it's gonna cause a tailspin, and everything about our life that's involved in this person is gonna be in the tailspin. Everything gonna be there. But it's one thing to say, okay, I'm done. I consider that I've done this or I've done that and I'm done with it. That's one thing. And don't do it anymore. Then it is to say, I know that I'm wrong. You've already went to the Most High and prayed and said that you're wrong about something. And then you come right back in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks to do the same doggone thing. Then that ain't what David done. When David repented, he went and he didn't do it no more. That's what made David special unto Yahweh. Where you at in that 42? Verse 7, right? Read.
The book of Job, chapter 42, verse 7.
Yes, sir.
And it was so.
And it was so. This is what happened?
That after the Most High has spoken these words unto Job.
So this is what happened after he spoke these words to Job. What?
The Most High said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy 2 friends. For ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath.
Read.
Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job.
So even now Job was speaking the truth, but where Job had his mindset, that it turned these brothers away. But the Most High told those brothers, you go back to Job. So even the unrighteousness of Job is greater than the righteousness that you have. You feel it? Job was self-righteous, but he gave you something that was true. But you saw in the truth that he gave you, saw unrighteousness in him. Because you saw in him that he was self-righteous. But even through his self-righteousness, he's more righteous than you. You go back and you make your amends to him. And that's something. We got to learn that when we are wrong about something, how to go back and literally, in our heart, not just do it because we can do it, and not that we're going to do it for right now, and we're going to come back in 2, 3, 4 weeks or 2, 3, 4 days later, and the same thing going to happen. When you go back to that, you do that. When you do something wholeheartedly, it's going to always be in your mind that you mean to keep. And guess what? Things going to rise up. Those things that James was talking about, those different things that's going to try to pull you off course, things that you would have liked if you'd been out in the world, if you were living according to the world, you would have liked these things. Some woman show up from the past, some man show up from the past, some friend show up from the past, even some enemy shows up from the past. And they sell you a wolf ticket. You begin to see those things. Well, I would do this. Or I would do that. Or I would do this. Well, if they would have did all that, you'd have been with them right now. Don't give me no false promises. Because anything you could have done in life, you would have did it in life if you really wanted to do it in life. If you didn't want to do it, you wouldn't have did it. Don't keep going back in these old, in the sea and fishing out your own dirt. If somebody gonna pull my dirt up on me, they gonna go in the sea themselves and get it. I'm not going pulling out some dirt and I'm gonna abide by my own dirt that I know is filth and it's vomit. I'm not going back to that. I gotta stand fast. Because when the enemy comes in like a flood, oh my Lord. Where we at? Where you at right now?
You read,
You're in 42, right?
yes.
And you at what verse?
Left at 9.
Go ahead and read.
Job 42, verse 9.
Let's hear this out.
So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as the Most High commanded them. The Most High also accepted Job. Verse 10.
Yes, sir.
And the Most High turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Most High gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him over all the evil that the Most High had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Most High blessed the later end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses.
But see, the thing about it is this. Job turned. Job understood what he did wrong when it came down upon him. And Job made a difference. Even though he felt like he was the most righteous man there was, Job saw that there were some things that he could have did different. Not only did he consider it, see, it's one thing to consider. I can consider the law of the Most High. I can consider how he wants to govern me as a person. I can understand how he wants. I consider how he wants to govern me as a man. Period. Right. But if I don't turn toward the way that he's trying to govern me, and I fight him at every turn, then our Hamashiach asked at one time. He said, "Why?" He asked Paul. He said, "Why do you want to keep kicking your foot against the prick? You're kicking your foot against sharp objects. You're fighting a non-winning battle because you're nowhere near as righteous as he is. Line up, follow through. Right? Did you get through 12? You did, right? Give me Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59 and 17. Isaiah 59 verse 17. We about done, guys. We got to close this off.
Isaiah 59. Verse 17.
I need Deuteronomy also. Hold tight. Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 9. Go, bro.
Isaiah 59, verse 17.
Yeah.
For he put on righteousness as a breastplate.
As a what?
Breastplate.
And what else?
And the helmet of Yeshua upon his head. And he put on the garments of vengeance for clothing.
Read.
And was clad with zeal as a coat. 18. According to their deeds, accordingly, he will repay fury to his adversary, recompense to his enemies. To the islands he will repay recompense. 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahuwah from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood.
Wait a minute. He already said he was going to and fro. He was going up and down in it, right? Inside this present land that we live in. So when he do engage you, and he come in like a flood, what?
Ruach Yahuwah shall lift up a standard against him.
But if you are not a part of, you're not, number one, if you don't know he's doing it, you can't deal with it. Number two, you got to realize who is your intercessor. You want to go deal with it by yourself and something happens. The first thing we should do before we even react on anything going on in life, whether with your husband, whether with your wife, whether with your co-workers, whether with your job, or no matter what it's with, first time we have to consult our counselor from who? From our intercessor. We need to go to the real counselor. The real one. Read, brother.
Verse 20.
Uh-huh.
And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression, and Jacob says, Jehovah.
So now listen. We got to understand something, right? If we don't turn off the transgressions, if we don't remove the transgressions, none of this that we're about to read now is going to even come before you. It's not even going, you don't even think about it. It's not going to happen. Transgressions has to be removed from your heart and from your ways and from the things that we do. And we have to consider other people when we're in situations. If you truly want to live a certain way, if you truly want to live with a certain person, if you truly want to keep a certain job, in this present world, if you truly want to stay away from certain people, right? You got to watch your own transgression. And the only way you can do that, the only way you're going to be able to really focus on your own transgression, you got to do what I'm getting ready to say. You got to put yourself in that person's shoes and look at what you have said in the process of being in their shoes. Then you can understand how it affected them that caused them to do the things that they've done. And even then, you still got to have what? You got to have a mind to forgive. I don't mean forgive for today. Forgive for the first 2 weeks. But you got to be able to forgive forever. Once that thing going to cease, if you go back and pull it out, something ain't working right with you. How you going to ever get over anything if you don't put it away? You got to put it away and keep it moving. Job put it away. David put it away. Even Moses went back and repented for things he done when he was struck the rock. And that 21st verse says what?
Verse 21. As for me, this is my covenant with them, says Jehovah.
This is what he's saying. What?
My ruach that is upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth, shall not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed, says Jehovah, from henceforth and forever.
A lot of times we think we're protecting our children. A lot of times we think that we're protecting our brothers, and we think we're protecting our sisters. We think we're protecting our mother. We think that we're protecting our fathers. But when it really comes down on you, when it really comes down, what do you actually do? Do you curse God? Do you question Him? I mean, the Most High, do you question Him? Or do you stand strong and deal with things in accordance of the way that they should be? If you've already deemed yourself to be righteous, you already deemed yourself to be doing the best you can possibly do. But if you play a role in someone else's, I don't care if it's a child, if you play a role in a child's behavior that causes him to sin against the Most High, you are not clean. No matter what their desire is. If it can't be built around the Most High, it can't be built. And if so, anything that takes place in the process of them going against the covenant and the law of the Most High, they are uncovered. There's no hedge around them, and whatever they get, they're going to get it, and you're going to reap yours too for allowing it to happen. We say, yeah, I hear it. Yeah, it's right. But then you go right back the next day and do the same thing. That's not righteous. That's not doing the best you can. That's not doing the best you can to live according to the law of the Most High. This is not a temporary thing. People don't take it as serious as it needs to be taken. People don't focus on those things that need to be focused on in an hour of focus. And Deuteronomy, there was a standard. He lifted up a standard in us. That standard is there. And when we fall from the standard, He lifts you right back up to the standard. Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 9.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 4 through 9.
Yes, sir.
Verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Most High, our Elohim, is one Elohim. And thou shalt love thy Elohim. Thou shalt love the Most High thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart.
It should be in your heart. Y'all know this over there in Mount Zion, right? This is the part of what took place over there. This should be in your heart. It shouldn't even be a question of should you go against it. It should be in your heart. It shouldn't be a question whether you go against the law. It shouldn't even be a consideration, regardless of who it is, that you condone anything that you know is not right. No matter how you love them, no matter what it's your baby boo. It don't matter. Whatever it is, the truth of the matter is, this is the judgment of the Most High, not mine. No, you can't. Or, yes, you can. It just falls right into the law. But if it don't, and you supersede something that you know is right within the Most High, you just mess yourself up. You ain't messing nobody else up but you. Because you have taken on, especially if you have the guardianship of the person that you're allowing to be misled based on a common call that you have made. You made that call. If you make that call, you're going to pay for it. One way, you might not feel it today, you might not feel it tomorrow, but trust me, you're going to feel it. And that 6th verse says what? Did you read the 5th verse?
I read 6.
Were you on 7?
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart.
Shall be in thy heart. Read.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Teach them to who?
Teach them diligently unto thy children.
You're going to stand in the mirror and you go in the mirror and you run them back and forth in the mirror and you're talking to yourself.
Teach them diligently unto thy children.
And what?
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house.
You're supposed to sit in the house and allow everything around you, allow them to do anything they want to do all around you, as long as they quiet. As long as you good, do this.
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house.
You should bring it up in the household. Yes, sir. We're in Deuteronomy 6, and right now we're in verse 6. No, we're in verse 7. So because somebody bring the word through the house and they're telling you how it's supposed to line up, according to Scripture, they ain't going to read you this in church. According to Scripture, they supposed to be bringing it up in the household. That don't make them a self-righteous, whatever you want to call them. That don't make them like they the worst persons, ever hit earth. It don't turn them to dumb. In actuality, if you line up with that, it's going to turn you into something. But when you fight it and you refuse to do it, it's not that person that you're rejecting. You reject that same father you're going to go back and pray to later. That's who you reject. If the plumbing line that's being brought through the house, amongst your friends or at work or wherever it is, with that plumbing line. And let me tell you, there's a guy called Achan, and Achan had sin in the house. He brought sin into the house. If you're going to commit a sin, don't commit it in the house. I'm not going to say that. Don't commit a sin, period. That didn't sound very good, but that didn't sound very good. And read, brother.
Deuteronomy 6, verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house. And when thou walkest by the way. And when thou liest down. And when thou risest up.
Read.
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand. And they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes.
Don't talk it one way today and then you wear down. Do you know, I used to be a kid. I used to be a brother. I did, believe it or not. I was a kid. And I knew how to get my mother. My father, I couldn't get him that dude, so I wouldn't even dare fool with that guy. That guy, so I still think something's wrong. But I knew how to go to her and get her. I go to her first, she said, no, your father said you can't do that. I started cleaning the house. Cleaning all the things she wanted me to do. Mama, is there anything you want me to do? I do all of that. Give myself a couple days and I go back to it. She's getting a little softer. Then I go out, I start doing other things. Getting in her favor. Before you know it, she go to him. She tried to justify those things he told me I couldn't do. And I could do them then. Right? He still say no. She let me do it undercover. But when they get in that argument, that fight about what I did, I carried in my heart that it bothered me to a point that I stopped doing that. Because I was causing havoc in my parents' home. So I stopped pitting my mother against my father and my father against my mother because I did not want that going on, because when that happened, it was like a whirlwind. It was like the worst thing that could possibly, it was like Armageddon. What do you call that word? Armageddon. When they fought like, I mean, like I'm telling you, thinking two big, brutal, Sumania, what do you call them people? The one that jump out there with the dapper wrapped around their butt and wrestle. Sumo. Like them big sumos. There was nothing but was unturned in the house. But then, I'm going to tell you, days later, it began to smooth over. But the damage is done. We leave children in children's place. We leave our co-workers in their place. We leave the Gentiles in their place. And you don't go to Gentiles for what? For information. You got something from there? Yeah. And that 9th verse says, well, you was reading that, right? He was reading that. Give me that 9th verse.
And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates.
That means that this law and this way of living should go through your house day and night, all the time, and never deviate from it. Because when you begin to deviate from it, oh, it's definitely. Okay, when you deviate from it, that's when your standard drops. They say when the enemy comes in like a flood, your standard is supposed to go high. But when you deviate from the word, your standard is already, it drops even lower when you deviate from the word. Because now you're not connected. And in fact, when you first started, you weren't connected, but now you got even worse. You know what I'm saying? You good? Give me Job 1:6.
Job 1:6.
Now
There was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahuwah, and Satan came along, also came along among them.
if there's anything in your heart as you sit here, don't let Satan ride with you. Don't let him ride with your thoughts. Kick him away from you. And what?
And Yahuwah said unto Satan, From whence come you? Then Satan answered Yahuwah and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down.
That means that even in this hour, he's going to try you. Whether you said it was from the word or not, he's going to try you. But you are responsible for your behavior, your thoughts. Do you know that he governs every thought about mind? But listen, just, and Job being a righteous had gotten to a point of self-righteousness after things had taken place, right? Even then, right, Job never took time out to consider what he was actually going through and why. That presents.
The book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1 through 5. This is the book of the commandments of Elohim, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take heed of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thy honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. O Israel, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to Elohim are made known unto us. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel.
You know, even when the law comes before you, just consider it, and seriously consider it. When you consider the law, and you accept the law, everything that's, remember, the Most High told Satan, he told Satan, he said, you can, let me find it. He told Satan, he said, in that, go read 8 and 9, Job 8, 1, 8 and 9 real quick. Let him come from the King James Version. 8 and 9.
Book of Job, chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. And the Most High said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Yahweh, and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Most High and said, Doth Job fear Elohim for naught? Hast thou not made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land.
So we got to understand, Satan is our accuser. Scripture tells us that he's our accuser. Don't give him wrong to accuse. And try to hold yourself. It's your own self-preservation. Because as quick as the Most High can put things in place, he can remove things out of place. If you don't have a standard, when you get a standard, you hold everything that's around. But see, the Most High said in 11, he said, but put forth thou hand now, right now, and touch all that he have. And we look at the things that was touched. After the Most High told him to touch all that he have, he touched. If you look at what he did touch, those things are the things that you have to keep lined up. You have to keep in order yourself. And you have to keep that word going through your house, right? In order for everything to fall in place. Because when he touched something that belongs to you, he touched something that belongs to you. Something that's going to make a difference. Whether it's your children, whether it's your job, whether it's your car, whether it's your home, no matter what it is, when he begins to touch, you don't have no control over it. Don't put yourself in a position to be touched by your accuser. You got one? No. May the Most High give a blessing to the reading of this word. And say hallelujah, hallelujah. And we're going to say we dismiss. Stand strong in the way. Just stand strong in the way. If Satan wants to attack Ark of Israel as much as he possibly can. But if a standard is not kept here at the Ark of Israel, if a standard is not kept amongst the people that comes to the Ark of Israel, it opens doors for him to do the things that he wants to do. Don't cry about being attacked if you ain't doing something to ward off the attack. May the Most High give a blessing to the reading of the word.
Yeah.